Hey guys, welcome back to the Mind Body broadcast with Austin and Marty. And today we're going to talk about relationships. All
Yes,
kinds. Yeah,
relationships.
yeah, we did. I think we all have a bad habit of doing like a half of an episode of discussion before we start recording. So hopefully we don't forget anything. But
I took notes.
yeah. Oh, you did. Yes,
Yeah,
good.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But relationships, yeah, we're going to talk about all kinds of good, juicy stuff here as far as things, people in the industry, what you might want to look for before you start a relationship,
hmm
during relationships, understanding your significant other if they might not understand you in what you're doing. Just some maybe avoid the headache for some people. Obviously, this industry's it's a lifestyle that's totally different than anything else. And it's not, it's no, it's really very serious when you're going into something that's going to be a long-term relationship. You need to maybe lay out some ground rules, and we're going to talk about that here. So,
Absolutely, because one of the bigger things as you hear is we're going to talk about it right off the bat is balance and the fitness lifestyle and the diet lifestyle. I was even listening to something last night about talking about how people will give themselves a membership card depending upon their diet, like as in they will say I'm keto or I'm vegan. It's like that is just that's really been getting popular, and that doesn't, you're not identified by the diet that you are. However, you can identify with the lifestyle that you live, and such as if you are a competitive bodybuilder, that is, like, you can say I'm a bodybuilder, right? And that's therefore going to dictate your balance in life. And that's I heard a really good quote about that, about balance, is don't go looking for balance, balance will find you. And so if you really enjoy bodybuilding and the people close to you in your relationships aren't seeing it as something that's obnoxiously taxing, like as in you have some form of balance in there, that's going to be completely subjective to you, because obviously prep is a time, I flat out tell everybody, prep is unbalanced. This is not a time to now start scheduling vacations, to now start scheduling retreats to go do something like that. That is going to be your focus for a bit. And I use the example of being in university or being in college, is that you are unbalanced then too. For those 4 months or whatever that you're taking courses, nothing else should really be a priority to you. And that's the wonderful example of that, is when I have people in school that are their courses are going, let's say February, March, in April, and potentially May, and they want to do a show in May. I say, pick a different show. There is no way that you are going to be at optimal brain capacity dieting for a show. You're going to wreck your marks. So it's not only that, but you're paying, I should hope, a significant amount more for university level education than you are for a bodybuilding show. And there's always more bodybuilding shows. It's like you can just be in an extended off season, have great brain power to do your studies, but so that's the point, is that there's things are going to be priority. The word priority did not become priorities, I think, until the 1900s or something like that, because it meant one thing, one most important thing. And if that's school, have it be school. If that's going to be bodybuilding for your show, for your show, and then off season or something along those lines, you can then, we'll say, branch out and pick some other activities. But that will go hand in hand with your relationship with your partner. Is that if they don't understand, I'm gonna backpedal and kind of completely contradict myself. They don't understand that that's where you're coming from, but they also don't have to understand the entire mechanism of bodybuilding. They don't have to be necessarily a bodybuilder, but they need to understand that this is important to you.
yeah, you're right. And I think I could put a little bit of a spin on that too. And we talked about this, and I can't remember which episode it was, but talked about trying to make the transition between prep and off season as seamless as possible also.
Right.
And I think that's something that also translates over into relationships, is you don't have to, I would say a lot of people are probably guilty of this, is what I could say. Prep starts, your coach says, okay, it's time for 16-week prep, 20-week prep, and all of a sudden your mindset shifts. I literally see people start acting differently. I mean, not only just what they do on a daily basis, but acting differently towards the people around them.
Mm.
And it's for no reason whatsoever. It's not like we said, it's not that you automatically have low energy or your mood changes or any of those things change. But people, they do act differently. They want to talk less, be less social, do less things outside the gym, what have you. And that it does have a damper on your relationship. I know for me personally, I'm trying to think, I think this year was my 10th prep or not, or something like that. So yeah, I mean, there's been several, and I've been in different, it's different ages throughout the preps over the years, different situations with relationships and all that. And I found for me that the best thing that I've ever done is I tried to keep my life as normal as possible. Now, what I notice personally is I can tell when my body is getting a little more susceptible to stress later in the prep, and that's when I have to be a little more leery of, hey, I'm not gonna travel all around the world here for these last 6 weeks or whatever. I'm just very susceptible to stress, even though those are positive things. That's still stressful, and it's still going to take a toll on your body. But I try to keep things as normal as possible around here. Is keep our routine, things that we like to do, as normal as possible. And obviously there might be some limitations, but for the most part, still do the activities that we like to do, still do the things on the weekends that we like to do or on whatever days. And it will make your relationship better. It'll make your stress levels a heck of a lot lower. And frankly, it will make you a lot happier because you're going to occupy yourself. You're going to be doing things. You're not going to be sitting at home, sitting there watching the clock, anxious about your next meal, for 16 weeks, and hating life and being very negative towards your spouse and your friends and your family.
Absolutely. That's wonderful you said it, because the more, I don't know where that comes from, but the whole you can't do anything during prep is it's such a fallacy. And this is great tie into what we said before the episode, is that your NEAT will go down. Your non-exercise activity thermogenesis will go down. In other words, when you're up and you're doing stuff and you're out at the zoo, you're out at the mall, pick anything, you are going to be effectively burning more calories. So if your coach gives you a calorie cut or ups your cardio or whatever, and then you stop doing the things that you've been doing, now effectively your daily activity that doesn't come from the gym is going to plummet. So now you've negated the potential fat, not potential fat burning. You've negated a lot of the fat burning, because that stuff adds up way more than your, let's say you start out with a 30-minute regular steady state cardio session. That's going to burn 300 to 400 maybe calories, whereas I know some people's NEAT can burn 900 plus easy. So you stop the NEAT, you add in the cardio, now you potentially can gain weight. So it's great that you say that, because and that's what I have been trying to say as well, until there does come to a point where you might be able to do the things that, like, let's say going on a vacation, or right. In terms of going away, where potentially you might not be able to have the gym or to be able to access your proper cardio machines or something like that, or something that's just way out of line for your nutrition and supplement usage. But keep the lifestyle as much as you can. And that's especially, but I would like to ask you about that then, Austin, is that, so do you do a lot of this stuff with your wife then?
You mean
like just like the activities that you use, like you said, you keep off season kind of the same as pre-contest, you don't change. So is that like dates and things like that?
Yeah, obviously, you know how my schedule is. I'm busy. It's got a lot going on. But we do prioritize doing things together. And there are certain things, like, certain times of the weeks where we always do, a variety of different things that we like. And I kept it normal all the way up until, it was all the way up until really a couple weeks out. And the only reason I changed it was just food situation and, had some other things come up. But some of this comes with experience, figuring out as far as what your body, how it's going to respond to stress in these situations, and how far you can push it. A good example is, I have that seminar coming up in May.
That's right.
Uh, well, my wife and I are going to that. It's cool. We're going to travel to England. We've never been out of the country. That's something that we wanted to do. And now I had a potential show that I wanted to do in April, or the end, very, very end of April. I've been working towards it, but what I told her and what we agreed on is that if I'm not ready, I'm not going to prep through this trip.
Right.
And the reason being is not because I can't prep through the trip. The reason being is because if I pick a show that is, let's say, 2 weeks after we get back, it's going to take me a week just to get the water and inflammation off from a 16-hour flight.
Right.
Right. And all the travel. So that is just, that's just simple logic there. Hey, I'm not going to do that. That's not a good idea. I do now. I'll do a show I'll up my show to the end of June, early July is kind of the time frame because I'll already be in good shape. So I'll finish out the prep once we get back. And I have clients that do go on vacations during prep, but I always encourage them. If they have a vacation planned 4 weeks out from the show, I tell them to pick a different show.
Oh,
and it's not
absolutely.
And I know you would agree with that. I mean, it's not like some people handle things differently, but it doesn't matter. Here's the thing is it doesn't matter if if you're renting a vacation home and you have a gym in the house and you have your stove and refrigerator and all that stuff. That the problem is stress and routine. So, you have traveled to a different place, your immune system is compromised, the stress, it's a stressful situation and so on and so forth. So it's probably not a good idea if you and your significant other or family have something planned at that point. You probably just ought to not reschedule your vacation, but reschedule your prep.
Absolutely. And that's one of the more key things that people, let's say this: bodybuilding is a selfish sport. So is any kind of competing. The whole thing becomes about you in a sense, right? And so even asking your spouse, or planning it out with let's say long-term, married, happy, you have to take their feelings and thoughts into consideration. Like if you are always doing another show, let's say you do a show a year and that's 16 or whatever weeks of prep, that's cool if they understand that. But even so, it can not only, we'll say, cut into the relationship, but that's almost quote unquote forcing them into a little bit of a corner. Now, like we said, you can set ground rules when you meet people or someone like that, but when you get further into things, they matter. You know what I mean? And so let's say they're not a competitor and they want to, there's a great sale on a vacation you plan or whatever, and then you go, oh, but that show is then, there's always more shows, and then you got to really ask yourself, is that worth the relationship? Are you going to potentially compromise the relationship year after year in a sense like that? And I know that there's the counter argument to this too, but if they matter, then I don't think that that's always the most viable option, let alone we can dive into the people that do 2 shows, 3 shows a year, because it is selfish and they're kind of hampered. Your mood's not going to be 1,000%. Your energy levels are not going to be 1,000%. Let's say for whatever reason you guys are into into wine tastings, or you do anything that's a little bit off in calories, like you really enjoy going to different buffets or something like that. Like that's not going to potentially be able to happen for those times. So, and not only that, but then if you are a nightmare in prep and you know that you're a nightmare in prep, well, that's one of the things that it comes up a lot. And so I've seen more stress, and I know you have too, more stress on relationships, not only in my own relationships, but in clients' relationships all the time, just because it's especially when you're navigating that first prep, because unless you have dieted down a lot, like very, very lean at some other point in your life, but so that would even be your first prep, but your first prep is going to be a lot of self realization, and you're going to gain a lot of self realization during that prep, and not only that, but then they are going to get, if they don't know prep, they've never prepped, they're going to get a lot of good and bad connotations about prep that probably aren't going to go away very much.
Yeah, and it takes experience too. Like I said, I think I've done more and more at every prep I do, because I get better and better at that transition that, like I talked about, from off season to prep. And, and you get, like I said, you just get a little bit more experience. But I think this might be a good point to kind of transition into a little bit different side of the topic. That this is where things get a little more touchy. Let's say, and we'll talk about if you're not in a relationship and you're going into one.
Sure.
But let's say you already are. You already are in a relationship. You have, maybe you haven't competed with this. This person wasn't around the last time you competed. You're getting ready to do your first contest prep, in this relationship, or even let's say you just started bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
You're brand new at bodybuilding in the whole lifestyle. Because this is one that I get a lot, honestly. And this is where I've seen the most issues. Good scenario is I have a new client. They're really excited about, adapting to this new lifestyle. Both them and their significant other are very out of shape. They are, or maybe they're not even very out of shape. Maybe they're just a little bit out of shape, but one of them wants to really step it up. They go into it, they get set in lifestyle. Now they're prepping their meals. They're going to the gym. They're doing, they're getting their sleep in. They're trying to get their stress down. They're trying to do all these things, all the real basic stuff that we learn about when we first start bodybuilding: eat, sleep, train, meal prep, yada, yada, yada. And now the problem is their significant other wants nothing to do with it.
Yep.
And so this can go a couple different ways. This can go the way of you adapt the lifestyle and you start being kind of a jerk about it to your significant other that doesn't adapt the lifestyle, or your significant other actually gets upset with you, kind of tries to sabotage you a little bit, and really makes it difficult on you. It makes you feel bad, like you're the bad person, because you can be the bad person or you can not be the bad person. It just depends. I think my point here is that I don't like people to feel like, sometimes they feel like, man, I just can't live like this. I can't have this lifestyle, even though they're not doing anything extreme. They're not avoiding leaving their home or anything, crazy like that. They're just making healthy decisions, and they're prepping their meals during the week, and they're training, and they're going to the gym or whatever. But otherwise, they're still taking care of things at home. They're trying to have their, taking care of their kids. Maybe they have kids, maybe they don't. And their significant other is just on them. They are so, they're so against this. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I would say that I had a really bad stint there. My wife and I had it's not a running joke. It's obviously not a joke at all, but it was like a running occurrence where I had a year where I probably had like 6 clients that got divorces.
Oh, wow.
It was bad. Yeah, it was really bad. And the thing is, and I tried to explain to him, and I said, I'm obviously not a relationship therapist, but I want to tell you something. I want you to see both sides of it. I don't want you to be the cause of something. I don't want you to be to the point where you're damaging the relationship. But if it's them just telling you that you can't do something that's good for your body and something that's, something that you enjoy, then that's also a problem. And that's not your fault. It's just really difficult in those situations to figure out, okay, I don't like to say somebody's right or wrong. Like I told you before the show, mm-hmm. It's not necessarily that somebody's right or wrong. It's just that you're different. People want different things. I mean, when I started bodybuilding, I was already in a relationship and I was younger. I did my first show. I was 18. So had been dating the girl, same girl from high school type of thing. We'd been together for a while. We were together all the way up till I was probably from like 16 to 21, I think. So pretty good amount of time. And, we just wanted different things. We were at the point where we were getting old enough to think about getting married and all that, all that stuff. And I straight up said, hey, I'm going to keep living this lifestyle. I like it. It's doing good things for me. I was severely depressed, had lots of anxiety. This lifestyle helped me a ton. It, made me it did make me a better person, where I know it makes some people a really terrible, worse person. And, I'm sure you've seen that too. So that's the thing you have to realize is, are you being too damaging to the relationship with your new lifestyle, or is it just that you and your significant other don't agree? Because they're two different things, and it's a super fine line.
That is exactly it. What I said, that they don't have to understand what you're doing and why you love it or whatever, but they have to understand that you do love it. That's kind of it. And I think if you are going to get into a prep, or you're going to adapt a new lifestyle, you got to have that chat with them, because you say, hey, it can be a slow transition. It could be a heavy like you could go from being a gym rat into prep, and you don't know what to expect, because that first prep, like I said, is going to be significantly different than anything you've ever done. So on my initial questionnaire, when I get new client intakes, it will say, are you in a relationship? Do they participate in a fitness lifestyle? Have they dieted before? Have they done a show? I ask all that stuff, because that is such important information. Because if they don't take part in a fitness lifestyle, if they do not track their food, do not weigh their food, they don't eat healthy, they drink beer at night, or they're a partier or anything like that, that's putting check boxes into this is going to be a difficult ride for you. Or conversely, if they understand it a lot more, that's putting potentially a lot of pretty positive checks in that there too. I have a really good example of my client Mallory. She was thinking about doing a show in February, and this was, I want to say, September, October. She's going to get mad. I don't know when they started dating. I don't care. But she said, I really like this guy. But I want to do this show. And I said, you are going to miss out on all this honeymoon phase stuff. And funny enough, I knew him. Hi, Travis. I knew him. And I said, you know what? I think you should wait, because even though you both do like lifting weights, you both you're going to miss out on all this like date night stuff. You're going to miss out on all that. I said, I would hold off. And so she said, okay. And then we recently talked, and she said that was the best advice that I got, because she goes, no, because I maybe it would have broke us up. And even though that they understand and potentially know what was going on, but she would have missed out on all that stuff. And that was the bigger priority to her, was not adopting, because she wasn't a full-fledged want to go drive hard all the time competitor. She wanted to do different things with her life. And so that's the best advice that I could give. But now, if let's say it was a run at a pro card or something like that, maybe, but even so, that has to be talked about. That has to be talked about. I'll say it one more time. That has to be talked about, because new relationships are like you said, even old relationships, you said, what, 6 clients got divorced? Like, that's outrageous, right? So, and not only that, but yeah, like you said, that then there's the difference between being single versus being in a relationship. I've prepped for the exact same show as a girlfriend, and then also I've clearly been currently single, because the difference was, like, prepping for the show, it was good and bad, which was, you'd think, if you've never done a show with someone, you'd think, oh, there's going to be nothing but positives if you do the same show together, because then you're going to be on the same team in terms of you're going to be both training a lot, both eating a lot, but then both of your fuses are shorter, both of your energy levels are shorter, and then maybe potentially both of you don't want to take time for the relationship and not necessarily be independent, but you both are stuck at home watching Game of Thrones or something like that. But I would say that the prep was a positive experience with her, but it was definitely a strain on it. I will say that it was cool, and it did have its ups and downs. So the advice I can give to that is just keep talking about it, and just know that this isn't forever. Like, it is an unbalanced lifestyle. Prep is that you won't have that energy. Just know what you're getting into a little bit more on that. And so then for them being single, I will go, there's pros and cons to that one too, because I know when people are single that they potentially want to party more, they potentially want to not follow their meal plan is more, but then conversely, there's no one attempting to pulling you off plan for like, I eat pretty darn good no matter what anyways, just because that clearly is my lifestyle. So therefore there's no temptation there from someone else if they are there. But like, I really like the part that you said about when, I think as you said, when you met your wife, that you laid it out pretty upfront with her. Is that right?
Yeah, it's that, and that was the next thing I was going to talk about. Not that directly, but
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, I can talk on that a little bit.
Go for it.
So let's do a little different scenario here. Let's say you do lean towards the extreme end of the spectrum. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really good at working with people that have all different mindsets as far as what balance. If I use the word balance, I'm fully aware that that word means something different to everyone.
That's right.
Yeah, balance to me is totally different. Balance is basically just what you're comfortable with. It's not, because by definition, balance would mean that you're equal on both sides, essentially. But to achieve anything, sometimes to achieve what you want to achieve, you're not going to be balanced. That's just the facts of life, whether that's your business, or your relationship, or your bodybuilding, or whatever, or you have a big, lofty education goal.
That's right.
You're not necessarily going to be balanced. And I knew what I was comfortable with. I knew what was okay with me in terms of, my anxiety and my mood and just getting and being productive as a human being and doing my job and all that stuff. I kind of knew where I was at. And I will be the first to say that I lean towards very extreme end of the spectrum, and that doesn't bother me. I am totally okay with that. I am comfortable there. That's where I thrive. Okay. Now, if you have somebody like me and you're going into a relationship, you have to lay it out. I mean, there's no way around it. When my wife and I met, I had been through, like I told Marty before the show, I had been in a long relationship. We eventually broke up. We just wanted very different things in life. We had a mutual understanding of that. I did the dating thing for year and a half, whatever. It always pretty much was the same scenario. In all honesty, it's not hard to get along with someone on a date. If you have a good personality, you're a relatively intelligent person, can hold a conversation, you should be able to have a fun date.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, for the most part. Now that was never really an issue. Always had, I'm not saying always, but normally had a good conversation, so on and so forth.
Oh, come on. You're charming as all life. Let's just say that. You know it. Yeah.
Yeah, but as soon as you start hitting that real world talk, like, oh, okay, so, what is your job? Like, what, kind of getting a feel for what the person's life is like on a daily basis. What are their aspirations for the future? Stuff like that you might start talking about on a second or third date, depending on how fast you move into it. Me personally, I went through those first, whatever, I don't know what it was, few times, 3, 4, 5, 6 dates. And then when my wife and I went out for the first time, I was actually legitimately, I knew that we were going to go out, and I wasn't worried about it at all. I said, you know what? I am going to let her know this is what I'm all about. I didn't even really think about it. I just kind of let it fly because I've just been through the same scenario over and over again that clearly wasn't working.
Right.
So, I told her, hey, I'm a nutcase. I said, this is what I do. I said, I'm a very, I have a coaching business. It's doing good. I'm almost done with my degree in school. I work a lot of hours, but I have no problem. I have no problem being productive and still doing things and being social and what have you. But hey, this is what's going on in my life. I weigh all my food. I go to the gym and do this and this and this. I'm not a narcissist. I didn't mean I'm a narcissist necessarily, but I mean, I am the epitome of what a OCD structured bodybuilder is going to be,
Right.
if there was a picture of one. And I want you to know that. And I said, because we hit it off really good, and she didn't go anywhere. So,
Yep.
I was like, oh, okay, this is what it's supposed to be like. This is where you actually know, hey, this is potentially something good. It was a good decision to lay it out like that. And I know people, sometimes they're afraid to kind of throw those things out there, and people display something on their first, second, and third date. They want to impress the other person. You know what I mean? Like
don't get me started on that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
My advice, like, this isn't Austin and Marty's relationship counseling.
Yeah, right.
But just from actually keeping this pertinent to our industry, you do need to let people know what you're like and about your lifestyle right off the bat, because it's same with friends. If it's a friend, even someone that wants to be friends with you, you just need to let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm all about, because it's, like I said at the beginning, it's different than anything else in the world, I went out on a limb. I let her know. She is still here and knows that I'm batshit crazy, and and the thing is, though, I could never, and there's plenty of other people like this out there, and they try to make this work, but it'll never work, is I could absolutely 110% tell you that I could never be with someone that didn't live a very similar lifestyle to me. Right. There's just no way.
Yep.
It's not possible. It's just not possible. And I know people say, hey, I just want my significant other to be understanding, and then it's okay. And for some people, that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. My general clients that don't compete, and they just love the lifestyle and stuff, hey, that works out great for them. They've adapted to it. It works good. But for somebody like myself that is so ingrained in this, and it's not only what I've competed in forever, but it's also my job. I travel for it. I do all of these things. It's just not even plausible that could work.
That's right. And in that's exactly it, because then that's also dipping into a difference from, we'll say, the fitness lifestyle into the competitor or competitive lifestyle, because that is going to be very, very significantly different if you are planning on keeping going with competing. Like, for instance, I have my client Kate. She just got engaged here at the Arnold Classic. Woo! She had a great time, and she said, "I really want to keep going with this." This was, I think, her third show, and she's gonna keep. This is her fourth show. That's right. She's gonna keep going, and so that's her lifestyle. And her fiance is very fully on board with that, and that's that's the chat that they had, and that's wonderful to see. And then the differences for the fitness lifestyle is that they don't necessarily potentially need to compete, but I would even say that I would by far say what wrecks most clients in romantic relationships is either the lack of them following some form of relationship with, like, so the husband or the wife having a relationship with the gym and a good relationship with food. That if they don't have that, if they kind of, we'll say, check all those negative boxes, and they don't eat off, or so they don't eat well, they eat off, they don't go to the gym, they do consume lots of alcohol, they are interested in lots of partying, they don't go to the gym, that is going to make things, that is the one thing that I would say wrecks most of the potential for, we'll say, going the distance or whatever, in terms of really getting into where you want to, let's say, reach your goals. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different spin on it there. And even for your friends and things, and let's say you are dieting for a show and you are in a relationship, and people are saying, like, wow, you are being a jerk. and you get that from one person. Okay, maybe that person just doesn't like you, or they've been in a show, your friend, or your new relationship, they've been in a show and they have a negative connotations about, oh, you're gonna prep, and so they've heard all these nightmarish things about prep, and they're immediately have this negative connotation. Oh, okay, you're gonna be an asshole the whole prep. Well, and that's out there too. Like, I'll have so many people comment to me about that, say, oh, so should I expect my boyfriend, girlfriend to be a jerk, have no energy, be no fun? And it's like, well, not necessarily, but going back to the paying attention though, if your romantic partner says you're being an asshole, and then you have your friend saying you're being an asshole. Let's say you're getting in trouble at work because you're being an asshole. Maybe pay attention to that and start thinking about like altering your stance on things too, because it isn't a free pass, ladies and gentlemen, to be a dick. It just isn't, because if you are doing something you love and you're a jerk, I don't think that really correlates to being happy. This is turning into Austin and Marty's relationship or life podcast, right? But that goes into the mind part of the mind body, is that you do have to get a well-developed mindset about this, and you need to pay attention to that too, is that because we can forget things, traffic, let's say traffic's pissing you off more and things like that. Just breathe. Take some damn time for yourself to just breathe. Like if it's always so negative and it's always causing such a damn strain on the relationship and all these other, like that might be, I'm not going to give you full on advice, but that could be something you look into for yourself. Maybe you need to sort some things out, because if that's making you happy but also making you a jerk, I don't know. That doesn't seem like you're being too happy, because then that can transform it from I get to go to the gym and I want to go to the gym to I have to go to the gym, or then your identity is a competitor, which that's cool as long as you aren't a slave to competing in terms of you feel like you have to, that this is all you are now, and that goes back to what is balance, right? And I know you said that balance has to be equal things, kind of, because you got to think, let's say you have a big rock in the bodybuilding part of like of the balance, and let's say that's weighing a lot of things down. Well, now you can have a whole bunch of other little things kind of bringing it back. But then, yeah, you said, I'm not going to repeat it again, but that it is unbalanced during prep. Let's just say that anyone says that you can live a balanced lifestyle in prep, I want to see how they look on stage, for one. Just want to, I bet they're not going to show up in their absolute best. But then, yeah, like in that could be talking about things that you do with your romantic partner in the off season, like you said, plan that vacation for 6 weeks after the show, plan the family reunion, and then there is, I'll say this too in blue in the face, there's always more shows. There's always more shows. Wait the extra 6 months, and that's all that's going to do. Or 6 months, I'm just using 6 months as a relative term, but there's always going to be more time to improve then. That's all that's going to be. And for you to get veritably upset at that, well, maybe you need to be single right now. Maybe you aren't ready to be in a relationship. Maybe you aren't ready to put someone else before you here and there. Because as I said, this is selfish. Prep is very selfish. You have to, a lot of the time, cardio time is structured. Training time is structured. Meal time is structured. Dipping into the last 4 to 6 weeks, it is very structured. And you aren't going to have a lot of time and energy to do other things. But so then not only do they need to know that, but you need to know that, and you need to take their feelings into consideration as well.
Yep, you do. It's even if you're somebody, I kept using myself as an example for the extreme, more extreme side of the spectrum, but even if you are somebody that does lean that way and you have a partner that's extremely understanding, you don't need to take advantage of them. Like, you still, don't take it for granted. It is very difficult to be so ingrained in this industry and have a significant other that is very understanding and that jives well with you.
Yep.
It's tough, man. It is. It's not, and I wouldn't tell anyone any different, just from all the things that I've seen go on with just clients and stuff, and that, trials and tribulations on my own. And granted, I'm not old by any means. I mean, hell, I'm not even 30 years old. So there's people there's clients that I've had that'll be in their mid 40s that have been competing. They love the lifestyle, and they've just had tons of relationship issues over the years. They'll probably be single forever. Which is okay. They, that's maybe what they wanted at that point. But I know some of them don't want that necessarily, but they just don't know how to, they just don't even know how to be a
selfless person,
girlfriend,
be a
spouse.
bit selfless. Yeah.
They can't. They aren't even capable of doing it.
Yep.
Just because for whatever reason, which is unfortunate, and some of those people don't even have, I wouldn't even say they have friends or anything. It's just,
yep.
They just don't really know how to function like that. And my message, to people like that is you can literally still be the most hardcore, structured OCD bodybuilder and still be a pretty good person and still have relationships, whether it's friends or family, because I've been doing it for years,
That's right.
Been doing it for years. And I have other clients that do it too.
Yep.
And that's kind of our message here, is that those two things can, being successful with this lifestyle, even whether you're a competitor or not, but we're going to say competitor because that's where it gets a little more dicey.
Sure.
Being a successful competitor and more stringent with your lifestyle and having good relationships with people around you, totally possible.
Absolutely.
Then that's, totally possible.
Not only that, but the we'll call it the healthy romantic relationship can add to it too. Because let's say they are understanding, and let's say you do a bunch of stuff for them because you care about them. So it's not like you're trying to give, what do you call it? Like a scorecard, like, oh, I did this for you, then you can do this for me. But let's say, you are in love and you're doing things for them and they're doing things for you. They're going to help you out for that last 4 weeks. Maybe you're lucky enough to have someone that's going to help you prepare your food. Maybe that you're going to have someone that's going to say, you know what, I'll take the kids to soccer practice for the last 2 weeks so you can go to the gym. And then maybe they are doing whatever and or they're in a show potentially, and then you do it for them. Like it's not even like say like I said, it's not there's no such thing as you shouldn't do the relationship scorecard, but it is give and take in a relationship, right? That's balance again. So if it goes, the balance scale goes towards you, then it can go back towards them. And then I can't believe we didn't think of this, but if you are in, let's say you're married, let's say you're Austin and you're happy, you're going to be talking about money. That's just the way that things go. And so prep isn't exactly free. You have got the cost of your supplements. You've got your cost of your coach, potentially. You've got your cost of the show itself, your tan, the hotel, potentially your airplane, your airfare. If they come, their airfare. So that's, it's a vacation in a sense, or it could be a very expensive vacation. So to know that that we'll say the money's pooling towards you in a sense, because I've seen that time and time again. It's like the financial strain of things. And I know for girls, holy, you get the hair, you got the hair extensions, you got the makeup, you got the nails, you got the suit. Like the girls' suits are astronomically more expensive than banana hammocks. So
oh yeah,
yeah, I've seen $2,000+ suits. I'm like, that is a very nice vacation. So yeah. It's so that has to be talked about too, because I do see that talked about a lot too. So just know too that, if you are potentially looking at getting into a show and you are in a relationship, that finances should be something you should talk about too. And then I have the clients that when they're talking about something like that, potentially at nighttime, there is like you said, there's a couple factors where maybe they potentially try to pull you off of your plan, and that could be either jealousy or it could be now you are a completely different person than what they met. And yeah, I know people change. I know people evolve. I know relationships evolve. But do you like? And this is me going therapist on you again. Is that communication is so key about this? Just getting upset at each other is just not going to work. Or because I will see it time and time again in in assessments that, oh well, Johnny is eating chips in front of me again. I'm like, does that bother you? And they say yeah, and I say, well, that has everything to do with you and nothing to do with them. If that bothers you, because if you love this lifestyle or whatever, then yeah, it might not be the best partner for you. But if that was what they've always done, then you can't really get too upset at that because you chose to do the competitive or fitness lifestyle, not them. So right. if you want the chips, then switch your priority to the chips and have the damn chips, and people will get blown away when you tell them that. It's like, because yes, I get temptation. Yes, I get it. You're potentially getting cravings and things like that, and you can ask them, of course, just like, again, the whole thing is communication. You can ask them, hey, can you not do that for the next little bit? Or then if they don't, then how about you go watch a movie in the bedroom, or you go for a walk somewhere or something like that if you have certain routines. And that can be lots of those fun chats to have, because I will tell you, being single for that stuff, that is astronomically easy. Like for instance, if I have perfect, I just got a great idea. But for being that, so I can schedule my meals on my own time. I live by myself. I have my own condo, so I can schedule all that fun stuff. My my gym schedule is when I want. But then friends, we'll talk a slight bit about friends because I wanted to about this, is that I have people say now my friends don't want to be friends with me, or my friends don't invite me places, because let's be serious. It doesn't necessarily need to be young crowd. The old crowd is that a lot of people, what do they do when they get together? What are social events? Food and booze, man. Food and booze. So you'll show up there. Let's say you show up with your Tupperware or something like that, and now you're that person. Well, that you have to that's coming to terms with things. Again, this is your choice to live this lifestyle. I've even said that during prep. This is your choice. I did not contact you and make you pay me to put you in a show. You did that for me. You came to me in a sense. But then for friends being out, if they are constantly saying, oh, just have a bite of this, or oh, why can't you just have a beer, and again, and then I'll see, Marty, they don't understand. I'll say, they don't have to understand. You need to understand that they don't understand, and they don't have to understand. And then some light bulbs will go off there for them too. But let's say if your circle of friends is exclusively partiers, that's all they are, is partiers, you are definitely going to have a rough time, and you are going to be a heck of a lot more alone, unless you want to go to these events. And you can, I know people that can go to these events, and either, let's say if it's a buffet style or something like that, and they want to bring their scale. I have seen it happen. I have more clients that have high functioning business events, and they'll have really good food, or they'll be able to ask pre-order the meals, and they'll get that done. That's cool. But if you're not prepared to bring food and Tupperware, and you're not prepared to say no to alcohol and things like that, you might have to, like we'll say, put the friends on postpone. And I know that sucks. And I've had more people audit their friend circle thanks to prep, and they either will do one of two things. They'll either love it or they'll hate it. They'll say, I got no friends now. It's like, well, if you're ready to make a big life change, which this is nothing. This is like a career change. This is like moving to a different town. This is, you are putting yourself in a figuratively different town. That is what you're doing when you're going to be competing. So therefore, not only your romantic relationships, but of course, family dips in, and then your family doesn't have to understand either. They just don't. I've seen families be very supportive. I've seen families be so opposed to, because that's unhealthy. That's not living. That's not, and they're imposing their beliefs and their values on you, and that can make the clients feel like crap. That can make them feel like they're making the wrong choice, and things like that. But again, this will boil down to what is your priority and what is your choice with your life. Because and Austin and I said this perfectly, well, he said it and I've said it for years too, is that I care less and less about other people as the years go on, and it's true. Like if I meet someone and let's say, yo, I've seen you here and there, like you want to work out, cool, and like a relationship develops for friends or romantic, and they don't, and I lay it out for them, like Austin said. I say, hey, this is, or let's say it's a friendship, and I show up to their house with a meal, and they'll go, what? I had my buddy that we went boating every day when he was off work in the summer, and I would bring my 6-pack cooler with me. And the funniest part was I got made fun of at the beginning, and then like about midday on the boat, people be asking me for my food. I said, no, you were the one that didn't prep stuff. You can wait till you go get that greasy donair and feel like crap all day. This is my food. I've got my water. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And man, and then before you know it, I turned out to be just the cooler guy. And because I didn't let it get to me. The being made fun of, I thought it was cool. I said, hey, cooler guys here. So it just, because this was my choice, and that's it. That's all I really have to give on the platonic relationship advice, is that if you really have this as being your goal, it's not your friend's goal, but then you got to stick by that, and to let that derail you will go super deep on you. To let that derail you is telling you something about yourself, and maybe that you need to look into what you really want to do with maybe you're getting into things for the wrong reason or something like that. But if this is a big choice, and you really do, like, either for health reasons, or you've been going to the gym for a while and now you want to kick it up a notch, this is still your choice.
Yeah, and I can add just maybe couple little things to that.
Yeah, sure.
I've had some different experiences with family members, as far as like, I'll be honest. I mean, my family now, my immediate family, mom and dad, we get along good. I'm thankful for that. My younger brother, we get along good. But I have most of my other family, aunts, uncles, things like that. They always used to give me the hardest time. That kind of like what you were talking about. But the thing is, they just never stopped giving me a hard time. It never really, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, and I've seen that lots. They just doesn't stop. It's years and years. That's right.
And it just kept going. And you know what? I just choose not to be around them anymore. And it doesn't bother me a bit. The thing about family and friends is, like, friends you can choose. That's completely your choice. If you choose to be friends with someone that gives you shit all the time, that's your own fault.
That's right. Yeah.
Duh. And but the thing is with family is you don't get to choose your family. So don't feel bad if you don't get along with some of your family because you just have vastly different lifestyle preferences and you just don't agree on things. You don't have to talk to them. People are like, oh, and you know what? They can say whatever they want about, oh, family first. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but if I don't enjoy being around these people, I'm not going to force myself to do it. Because there's just really no reason for that. They say, you want family to be there. You only live once. Don't, whatever stupid cliche you want to use. But at the same time, I can flip that and say, yeah, I do only live once. I'd rather not, I'd rather not dislike all the people that I'm around. And a lot of my family, I'm just not around them anymore. And that's okay. It doesn't bother me one bit. It's not necessarily because of my bodybuilding, but I just know that I just don't enjoy being around those people, and bodybuilding is part of it because they would just pester me and pester me and pester me, and you know how it goes. But the thing is that I think most people need to remember too is that it is a two-way street. If they're pestering you, that doesn't give you a right to impose your lifestyle on them either.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good topic. Yeah.
It goes both ways. Like, however, I will say that I found that it usually doesn't go that way. I found that a lot of people that do get a lot of flack about their competing or their lifestyle, as far as bringing their food with them and all that, they usually don't give anyone else any problems. And I might be a little biased on that, but that's just kind of an observation. I've noticed that they tend to not pick on those other people quite as much as they're getting picked on. But even if you are one of those people that you are holding your nose up in the air, like you are better than somebody else because they're not doing what you're doing, just stop, because that's not going to get you anywhere either.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Just stop. Yeah. Cause you're darn right. So then for my family, I've had almost the exact opposite experience. I've got asked good questions about it, what I do, kind of thing, and they're very supportive. Like, would you like this? Would you like that? Like, my family's notorious for food, though. They'll say, do like, not to kind of impose anything, but always ask if I want seconds, if I want this. Are you sure? Are you sure? And that's fine. And I laugh at it now because now I know it's my family and I know they're not robots. So I know that no one's kind of taken them over. But and to put the spin on that too, like, let's say you don't get along with the family, then and you do that, then you hang around with them less, and so things like holidays or whatever, you're prepared for it now. You don't have that constant smacking around. So, and you can handle it and all of that. But let's say Christmas, like I will always say, unless your show is, let's say, January 1st, have the frigging Christmas dinner, please. Go whatever, like, just have it. So, and then you can say, listen, you can break down the walls and that, you can eat the food, and then they can make fun of you for that too. Oh, so now you're off playing, because it won't stop. Like you said, it just won't stop. Yeah, it won't stop. Yeah. Oh, so well, what happened to bodybuilder Austin? Is he kind of out to lunch now there? So and we'll
You
go
get
from
that
there.
one all the time.
Oh, see, that's perfectly it. But then that's the way, is that if you're around them less, you're not going to be as bothered as if you're around that every kind of week, because yeah, you don't get to pick family. The only kind of fun one that I would get is that at one point I remember I was eating lean ground beef and green beans, and they could not wrap their head around, because this family's from Nova Scotia, and it's very home cooked meals. It's just, that's the way things go in Nova Scotia, Canada. But they were like, where's your side? Where's the potatoes? Where's the rice? It's like, well, at this time, this meal, I'm not having like a carbohydrate. And they go, okay, but where's the side? And just the lack of it just cracked me up. Like, I guess because they don't understand, and they don't have to, and I can explain it to them if they'd like, and then just kind of, like I said, deal with it. But no, I've had almost the exact opposite experience. They'll say, it's cool. Like whenever I go home to see mom, or they say, hey, I got you eggs, or just let me know a grocery list. Like when I went to go see my family here in Vancouver, my cousin Sarah said, what would you like me to get you for groceries? And I was like, this is awesome, right? And like I'm the pendulum swinging the other way, so it can happen, but it does. It goes all the way. Like I would probably end up doing what you did, and then two, you could go into what your significant others. Let's say you are married and you have in-laws, and let's say they don't necessarily understand your lifestyle, because I've been with a couple girlfriends and their families. They don't get it. and that's right. And so when I do show up with the sick, when cooler guy shows up again, it's always a little bit fun, because they don't, and you have to, and the best piece of advice that I really can give about that is you have to spin it, and you have to take it lighthearted, because if you're letting that get to you, that is telling you something about yourself big time. Like because no, they don't have to live your lifestyle. They don't have to understand your lifestyle, but you do, and that's kind of it. And if they're gonna always berate you like that, and then no, just choose to not be around them as much, for sure. Or you can, like, again, my theme that I've been kind of smacking around here is communication. You can potentially have the one chat, and if that doesn't work, then at least you've done your part. You sit down and say, hey, listen, this is my lifestyle. This is what I do. This is not only that, but Austin and I are in a very specific category where this is our careers. So then, because it's not going away, you know what I mean? So that's even more hyper warp for us to have the communication. And then then you can say that to them. This is not going away. This is what I do. And if you really want to go full deep with them and say, like, I really don't appreciate these comments, you can do that. You can definitely do that. And if they still choose to come after you with that after that, then you've done your part for sure. Because with your boyfriend, girlfriend, with your family, with your friends, you can have that chat, and it can be. And if they don't want to take you seriously or anything like that, then that's showing you a lot about your friends and your family and your romantic relationships. But yeah, I really agree with pretty much everything you said. I don't think there was a thing I disagreed with on what you said about the boyfriend, girlfriend, family, and friends. Man, that was, you're nailing it.
Yeah, I didn't mention my in-laws.
I know, right? Yeah,
they're actually the complete opposite of my blood family. Is I have 6 clients on my in-law that are on my wife's side of the family.
That's amazing.
Okay. So I should have mentioned that, since they're like complete opposite of, is they have, now I have all of them over there, completely changing their entire life. And that I won't say that whole entire family, but like half of that family I've pretty much flipped their whole life, which is super cool.
Yep.
Super cool. It's very rewarding.
Yep.
But at the same time, I have on my blood side of the family, I have made a couple of those comments, to people. I did try.
Yep.
And
that's all you can do, man. That's all you can do.
That's it, man. That's it. But we had a couple funny exchanges when I finally had enough. You'd get the one, I had the, are you off your diet? Or, are you too good for my food? Or, do you not eat at all if I didn't eat at all?
Yeah,
you know
when people take when people take insult, like, you can't eat this, you don't like it, like, it's like, no, oh man, that's a funny one.
It was like, what? Do you just not eat? I said, I'm like 225 pounds. It's like, do I not eat? What are you talking about?
That's awesome.
I said, are you listening to yourself right now?
Yeah. No, that's funny.
What are you talking about?
You'll potentially you'll weigh more than them potentially, and they'll still say that, right? That's I love that. Yeah. Or to put even more of a spin on that, I would have people say, "Oh, look at that? He's not eating right now." because they would see some of the girlfriends I've had, their family would see me eating all the time, and then if I wasn't eating, oh, is something wrong with you? You don't have food in your hand. And so, yeah, and again, like outside of it being, rarely is it malicious, but yeah, it can be. It definitely can be. It can be attempt to be hurtful or whatever. And a piece of advice I was given from a psychologist was that's something to do with them. So if they're always having to tease you, trying to bring you down on that's them. For sure, like as in that they're either. I don't always want to go back to jealousy because no, not everyone wants to live this lifestyle, or not everyone wants to look like a Greek god type of thing. But it could be either they have relationship with food issues, they have something, could be anything, could not even be about the food, could be they don't have control in their life. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but and that's what it is too. And that has really helped me when I was told that no, that doesn't have anything to do with you. If and so then you can be a bit more understanding of them. If they're not willing to be more understanding of you, you can try your best to be more understanding of them and say, you know what, probably something is going on. I'm just going to be polite about it or whatever. It could be anything. Maybe they don't have control over. Yeah, like I'm not going to give more examples just because I know I could go on for days, but that's it. That's going to be a really helpful tip for you.
Yep, you're right. That's again just trying to be understanding because they probably do have something underlying there that
absolutely
that is causing them to be such an a-hole.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like if inherent assholes always got something going on. If you there's a death behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz is there doing something for sure.
That's it, man. I don't think there's a whole lot else in just the general side of things to cover. I mean, other than just people's specific situations, but I think we covered most of the big ones.
Yeah, like it is. There's the resounding kind of wrap up is just get the communication. This is your choice. Definitely be very upfront if you are going to get in a new relationship about that. That has always worked because if anything, I remember. I'll close with this. I remember someone saying, "Well, what if they're the perfect girl for you, but they don't follow that, like then yeah." And that was the argument going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, but that one thing is making them not like, yeah, but what if they're perfect? I'm like, well, that makes that's just not going to work. They could have everything else. And that's me. That's kind of my self-imposing things. I heard there was a relationship expert named Dan Savage, and he said it was called the price of admission. And he said that you get five things that you either can't do or have to have, and the rest you got to deal with. And I loved that. And he said, if you can't have the opposite sex smoke, or sorry, if you can't have your relationship, I won't say opposite sex, if you can't be in a relationship and with them smoking, that's cool. If they have to work out, that's cool. But once you get up to 5, he gave a great example of, he said, my partner will always leave everything out on the counter when he makes a sandwich. And he goes, every time I have to put the mayonnaise lid back on, I've got to put the meat back in the same. But he said, but that's not one of my 5 things. And I love him. So therefore I put it back and I shut up about it. And that's it, right? Because if you were going to impose such a heavy lifestyle on someone, sorry, not impose, but if you're going to bring to the table such a heavy lifestyle to someone, like you're going to have to let some stuff slide too. I really like that advice. And I thought that really helped me out too.
Yep. I think that's good. I don't have any closing statements. I pretty much bored everyone to death.
Not going to sway the jury in one way or the other. That was it. You rested your case.
Yeah, I try not to. Like I said, I try not to impose my sense of balance on anyone.
No,
because it is different.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Can you and if you will say let's actually go with this. Let's say all you hung around was bodybuilders. That's going to get boring real quick. there's no diversity. You don't have that. Like one of my best friends is a DJ. Another one of my best friends is a contractor carpenter, and that's fascinating to me, because then I don't get, like, as much as I love talking about bodybuilding and fitness, there's other stuff out there that's fascinating as well. So it keeps your mind expanding in a way, right? So yeah, it can be hampering there too. So I don't impose a lifestyle on me, and they'll ask me things about fitness here and there, and then I'll ask them. For instance, my contractor buddy Gabriel, he came over and he helped fix. There was a leak going on with my fan system in my bathroom. It's like, so, then you can, like, I gave him a workout program, and we did that just because that's what friends do. We'll call it with that. All right, then, from Marty and Austin at the Mind Body Broadcast, thank you for listening.